The Adulting with ADHD podcast is not a substitute for medical advice. Please see a medical professional if you think you have ADHD or have ADHD and need additional assistance. For podcast archives, please visit patreon.com/adultingwithadhd. This is the Adulting with ADHD podcast, self-empowerment for people with ADHD. Today, I'm happy to have with me Cynthia Hammer. Cynthia is author of Living With Inattentive ADHD and executive director of the Inattentive ADHD Coalition. Welcome to the show, Cynthia.
I'm happy to be here.
Me too. What is your background with the ADHD universe and what led you to this advocacy work that you've been doing?
It was in 1992 that I got diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, and that was about 3 years after one of my sons got diagnosed. And what happened is where I was working as a geriatric social worker, the supervisor, she had a grandchild with ADHD. So we would talk about that sometimes because she knew I had a son with ADHD. And then when she was evaluating me, she said, I did some things well and other things not well. And I had been back and forth thinking, do I have ADHD? And when she said that to me, I said to her, I think I have ADHD. And she said, you do. She said, I think so too. She said, I think so too. And the thing that struck me is that she seemed happy about it, happy to help me, and I was sad about it.
Yeah.
So when I went to my son's next visit with the pediatrician, and he was a developmental pediatrician, and apparently they're allowed to treat adults too, I said to him, Dr. Plonsky, I think I have ADHD. And he answered, you do. And he did that from my monthly meetings with him to talk about my son and the medications. And if I had to speculate how he could tell, it would be the need to say one more thing when the time was up, the need to talk about certain things that were irrelevant, to interrupt. There must have been so many behaviors that he was noticing, but he started to treat me. And that same year was the first year there was any book or any material out on ADHD in adults, 1992. And it was a book by Lynn Weiss. So in the back of that book, there was one other woman in Washington State, and she told me about a conference being held in Michigan. I went to that conference. Sari Solden was there, Terry Matlin was there, and Ed Hallowell was there. And they all had been diagnosed before me, which was a relief because before that, I thought I was the only adult in America who knew they had ADHD.
Wow.
Well, after that conference, I went back and decided to start my own support group to help other adults with ADHD. And that was 32 years ago. And I've been advocating and helping educate about ADHD ever since.
Wow, that is an incredible history. You are the founder of Inattentive ADHD Coalition, which we had discussed at the top of the episode. Can you explain what it means for the listeners who don't know what inattentive ADHD means?
Apparently, there are 3 types of ADHD, but the 2 that are really more common are the combined type, where someone has both inattentive features and hyperactive features. And there's the inattentive type where you might have some hyperactive symptoms, but you're predominantly the inattentive. And the inattentive is more looked on as less energetic, more spacey, more not paying attention. I think of them as the combined type might be more the 78 RPM, and the inattentive type is the 33 RPM. And I can almost tell from talking to someone which category they're in, whether they're one or the other. Now, occasionally I could be high energy, but it would wear me out, whereas a high energy person could be that way all day long.
If adulting with ADHD feels overwhelming, you are not alone. ADHD Online provides a diagnostic evaluation that offers personalized insights to help you navigate ADHD and beyond. Aside from ADHD, it's looking at anxiety, depression, binge eating disorder. You can take those results and you can go to your own practitioner, or they are practitioners that can help you. Listeners of the Adulting with ADHD podcast save $40 off and receive a $149 diagnostic evaluation by visiting adhdonline.com/adulting with ADHD. Is hemp product overwhelm leaving you dazed and confused? Find dispensary grade hemp products at the Kush Cave. Discover targeted comfort with topical roll-ons and salves. Unwind after work or drift off to restful sleep with expertly formulated gummies, drinks, and oil tinctures. There's free shipping on orders $99 and up. You get a 20% off promo for joining the email list. Visit kushcave.net. Welcome to the cave. And was there a specific thing that moved you to start the Inattentive ADHD Coalition? Was it to raise awareness of that type?
Well, what happened is actually, when I came back from that conference in 1992, I did start a nonprofit called ADD Resources, and I ran that for over 15 years. But when I retired, I moved away from anything about ADHD. And then during COVID, I decided to write a book for my children about my life. And when I did, I don't know. I just thought, "Oh, this is pretty good." So, I had read online that even if you think it's pretty good, you should have professional evaluate it. So, I hired someone, and I had written 60,000 words for my children, but he said the book was really about ADHD, my life with ADHD. He threw out 20,000 words and he had me write a new 20,000 words. And that became my book about Inattentive ADHD Coalition. In writing the book, I got back involved in ADHD and I read a, a blog on attitude from a woman who was 22 years old, and she said that she was told to move on. Now that she had the diagnosis, to move on, and she said, "I couldn't do it. I'm so angry. I'm so 'cause here she's a younger woman now, much younger than me. I was like 78 years old, so this is like so many years later, and she still wasn't getting correctly diagnosed. She said that people recognized something was the matter. She got referred to help, but if the help was either depression or anxiety, no one was thinking of ADHD because she had the inattentive type. And that just got me to think I need to start another organization that focuses on the inattentive type. And it tied in with my book. So I had a website for my book, and it was a nonprofit for promoting awareness and articles about how ADHD presents. Because what so often happens is someone's giving a presentation and they acknowledge that there's two types, but then they go on and only talk about the combined type. They're always talking about us having high energy. And as soon as they say that, I think a lot of us mentally say, "That's not me."
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get that out there that it almost presents in two different ways, and you have to learn the two different ways and not confuse them. The combined type has some of the behaviors of the inattentive type, but we can present totally differently. And there's a couple really sad stories I hear because after that, I went out and interviewed men that had the inattentive type. I interviewed women, and I would hear women say, "My brother got diagnosed, but I never did."
Yeah.
And the other sad thing is people who would tell me, "I was in therapy for years,
Yeah.
and no one suggested this."
I can definitely relate to that. How frustrating. Yeah.
And the thing I wanna tell your audience is
Yeah.
our gift for ADHD Awareness Month, and you need to go to our website, which is find the ADHD Girls/repository to sign up. But on October 1st, we will send you a link to the book, and it's 22 letters that have been written by women who were diagnosed late in life, and
Wow.
they're writing letters to their younger self. And I wrote a letter to my younger self. And for all of us, it's a very emotional experience where most of us cried writing the letter, but it was also a growing experience. And the thing that I find, I'm hoping, because a psychiatrist told me once the danger with pediatricians is they don't realize how harmful the long-term impacts of undiagnosed ADHD is. And I think a book like this can help them to be aware because an adult psychiatrist told me the pediatricians don't get to see that part of it. They don't see what it's like for a grown-up to have lived with it undiagnosed. And people go around thinking maybe to have depression as a child is a harmful condition, but they don't look on ADHD as being at that same level of damage to their life and
Yeah.
limiting their life. And
Yeah.
so that that's what I'm hoping with the book. But the other thought I had is it could be a historic relic. Maybe in 10 years, 15 years, there'll be no women that can give stories of their late diagnosis because we're finding all the children before they're 8 years old.
Yeah. I love that.
Now, the
And
other thing I say is that we should ideally find everyone at birth because we're born with it, but we
um,
don't know how to do that yet. And so that's why we say age 8, because we're told by the clinicians that is when they feel comfortable diagnosing most children with
hmm,
ADHD.
yeah. And is the book the project or is Find the ADHD Girls an organization of its own?
Oh, no, it's a project of the Inattentive ADHD Coalition. And actually, the inattentive, we wanted to say all children should be diagnosed by 8, and that would be our focus. But we were advised to focus on girls because there is so much misinformation about children being overdiagnosed and misdiagnosed. But there is an awareness that girls are underdiagnosed. So that is why we're still under the umbrella of the Inattentive Coalition, but we're focused on finding girls with ADHD, whether they have the combined type or the inattentive type. So we have our own website for that, which is
Mhm.
just findtheadhdgirls.org.
And what is an example of the kind of misinformation that's getting out there that's most concerning?
The misinformation about
Oh, with the girls, that they wanted you to focus on finding the girls because
oh, no, the not misinformation that we people, I think, would acknowledge that girls have gone underdiagnosed.
yeah. Okay, I see.
And so if the public is saying, "Oh, ADHD is overdiagnosed or you're overdiagnosed," and then you say, "What about all the women now who are just figuring
Yes.
it out, they have it?" Or what about the girls who present in a way that public doesn't understand. So I think we had a stronger argument that this group of children has gone underdiagnosed.
That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that. And earlier you were talking about the things that can go wrong if you grow into adulthood as a girl and you don't get diagnosed. What are some of those things? We've talked on previous episodes about some pretty serious things that you could be prone to.
The statistics tell you could have increased accidents, substance abuse,
Mhm.
unwanted pregnancies, domestic violence. We I always said you're 20% likely to have the more bad things in life and 20% less likely to have the good things in life. So you don't go to college, you don't get good employment, you don't have steady employment, you don't have a long-lasting marriage, you don't have high income. And the bad things in life, more likely in jail, more likely alcoholic, substance abuse, and all these things can be moderated or greatly improve all these statistics if a child gets diagnosed early, gets helped early, and our organization believes if they are finding a medication that is helpful. All those things will change the trajectory of the child's life. The things that when I interviewed women, some of them forced themselves to live a simpler life so they could manage it. Some of them looked back and said, I wanted to be a doctor, but I changed to be a veterinarian. Diminished dreams, diminished hopes, achieving less than they thought they could, and never understanding why some things were so difficult for them to accomplish.
Absolutely. On that note, for parents, for women who are seeing this happen or they're experiencing it, what's one thing you can advise them to do if they think they're in this demographic? What should they do?
Are you saying women who wonder if they have ADHD or women that already know they have it?
Either or a parent to a girl who might have it or suspects she might have it.
Well, what our organization advises for parents is you learn all the best practices. So the things like good nutrition, regular bedtime, lots of cueing, routine and structure, putting reminder cards up, doing all the things we recommend for good parenting of a child with ADHD. And
Mhm.
if that is not making enough of a difference,
Mhm.
that is when you feel mentally ready to say, we need to try medication because I've done everything I can and I still have a daughter who's struggling.
Yeah,
And so I don't want to say rush to medication or rush to the evaluation, but don't put it off because the earlier already at age 3, girls are learning that they're different and they're masking. And
yeah,
so the longer you put it off, you can assume the more harm that's being caused and the more correction that has to happen.
absolutely. Before we close out, is there anything else you want to add?
I want to tell people about our website,
Yes.
findtheadhdgirls.org. And in that website, we have what's called a repository. Everything in our repository is available for anyone to download free, and professionals can download it and add their own information to it. So we have handouts, we have articles, we have infographics, we have carousels, we have interviews. We have a section where we're going to have a store where we create greeting cards that parents or grandparents could send their daughter, posters that celebrate.
Yeah.
I'm getting cheerful.
And me too. Yeah.
Celebrate their daughter, books that are written about a girl that has ADHD, who's Dave Filkey writes about a boy that has
Yeah.
ADHD. Well, we're gonna write about a girl that has ADHD
I
and
love that.
celebrate. And so we wanna get the girls diagnosed early, and we wanna get them to feel like they're something special.
Because they are. And that wraps things up. HD Girls, thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, Sandra. Bye-bye.